everyone! Welcome to Fainting in Front of the Team Part 3 after a very long time, which is caused by the ship. Anyway, let's go Fukurodani. And my first ever time writing Boku Aka, which is why it took so long, because I read a minimum amount of fics with Boku Aka. I've never written it before. So let's take a look, shall we? As always, special thanks to my lovely patrons and all of you who subscribe and watch these videos. You're keeping this channel alive and going, thank you very much, and I hope you will enjoy. If there was anything worse than long practice, it was having a long practice in summer. Not that Akashi complained about practice under normal circumstances. He was proud to be part of a strong team, one that had someone like Bokuto as its main star nonetheless. That's why he went to Fukurodani after all. However, he would appreciate it if Bokuto learned to take into account that others didn't possess his monstrous levels of stamina. And while a year and a half of constant tossing after practices steeled his body and mind, sometimes he just wanted to lay down and melt into the floor in a puddle of sweat. Today was one of those days. The temperature was high even for June, the humidity after last night's storm making breathing difficult. And yet, the sound of volleyballs bouncing off the floor echoed through the gym, along with half-hearted shouts of the team. Can someone explain to me why we didn't go swim or something today? For once, Akashi couldn't but agree with his senpai, though he wouldn't say it out loud. He wiped the sweat from his forehead, just looking at their captain bouncing around as if the temperature had no effect on him, infusing his exhaustion. It's difficult to say no to Bokuto-san. Konoha scoffed, letting out a throaty groan when Bokuto called on them again, urging them to join the passing drills. I swear to gods I'll kill him one day. Wouldn't that put the team at disadvantage? I honestly don't care at this point. He yelped when Vashio lightly smacked his head, the offended glare doing nothing against the middle blocker's stoicism. Maybe because Konoha's crush on said middle blocker was starting to be very visible. To everyone except for the invested parties, of course. Come on, let's get this over with. Akashi, drink properly. More than usual today. Akashi nodded and automatically, as if charmed by Vashio's voice, took a few more sips from his bottle. It was sweet to be cared for though, especially by Vashio, though he would be careful not to say it too loud. He didn't want to cause misunderstandings for his senpais. Come on, Akashi, toast to me! With a soft sigh, he pushed himself off the wall, wavering a bit with the first step but stabilizing himself again, and headed to the net to let their spikers practice. He was Fukurodani's setter after all. He couldn't stay behind. The minutes slowly ticked by, yet the relief from hot weather didn't come. Or from the practice, even when they finished the drills and were mostly just sitting or standing around the gym, trying to find something to move the air around a bit. The only mostly unaffected ones were Kome and, unsurprisingly, Bokuto, who stayed on the other side of the net to do some more passing exercise. The sight of them moving around as usual made Akashi even more tired, though he couldn't help but admire their stamina. Perhaps if he worked out a bit more. Don't even think about joining them. It's not worth it. He turned to Konoha, finding him looking at the two with a slight disdain. However, while he understood the sentiment, he couldn't agree with Konoha's words. If they wanted to do well in matches, he had to put in the work too. As the main setter, he was the one touching the ball the most, and his body had to manage that workload. No way around it. Akashi, come send me a few tosses. Can you not rest for a moment, you annoying owl? It's alright. I was just thinking about joining for a while. Swallowing down the last drops of water from his bottle, he headed to the other side of the net, the floor swaying briefly with him as he bent under it. He blinked a few times in confusion, waiting for a beat before his vision stabilized again, before positioning himself to his spot by the net. Here goes. Fortunately, it looked like Bokuto didn't notice the waver of his step in his excitement, and then Akashi had his hands full with tossing the ball as well as he could to their ace. Sweat soon poured from his skin, the temperature and air pressure as if rising with every passing second. Yet he refused to succumb to the weather and diligently focused on the ball and his spiker, placing the tosses into the ideal spots. Or at least he thought so for a long while, before he realized the constant running back and forth was slowly but surely stealing his breath and steadiness. A few tosses soon turned into a whole extra practice, as usual, but while he didn't mind under normal circumstances, right now he would give anything to sit down. A few more, Akashi, please. The otherwise bright voice sounded hollow to his ears. Also, his brain took considerable time to catch up on what was being said, which, for someone whose role was crucial to decide quickly, wasn't ideal. Against his wish, he broke in the waist, trying to catch his breath and stop his head from flying away. He wasn't sure how long he stayed unmoving, but then a large hand tapped on his back, the lively yellow eyes appearing in his vision. However, the usual light in them was dimmed now by the unusual expression on his face. Come sit down, Akashi. You don't look well. He wanted to protest, say he just needed a few seconds to return to normal, but before he managed to say anything, Bokuto was already leading him to the side, his touch setting Akashi's already burning skin on fire. A new cold water bottle was pressed into his hand. Have a drink, but slowly. Didn't I tell you not to overdo it? Akashi found himself nodding sheepishly in thanks before he all but collapsed on the floor, letting out a relieved sigh as he finally leaned his back against the wall. The whole gym spun with him, the echo of voices sounding muffled in his ears, though he was sure the others were reprimanding Bokuto for something. It wasn't needed, obviously. It wasn't like he was forced to prolong his practice. How do you feel? He looked up slowly, his vision taking its sweet time to focus on Washo's face. Fine, I suppose. The words didn't even want to leave his mouth, almost as if the time got slowed down. It definitely felt like it. Maybe it really was too much. Then a familiar form squatted in front of him, a calloused hand taking hold of his wrist. I'm sorry, Akashi. It was difficult to be mad at Bokuto when he pulled his unintentional puppy dog eyes. Not that Akashi was mad at him in the first place, but still. He nodded, knowing well Bokuto wasn't chasing him around from malice, and even managed a small smile despite his heart thundering in his ears from being so close outside the match or ongoing practice. It's alright. Don't worry about me, Bokuto-san. Feeling a bit better after a rest and water break, he put the bottle down and tried to get up from the floor. But the moment he stood up, his vision went dark, his head as if lost all weight, and then all went quiet. At first, he wasn't sure what he was looking at. 2 or 3 lights shone into his eyes, making recognizing the space in front of him even more difficult. Although, on a more careful examination, it wasn't really in front of him, but rather above. A weak groan escaped his mouth, but the moment he tried to lift his head, light pressure pushed against his forehead to keep him steady. Careful, don't rush. He recognized Vashio's voice, relief flooding his mind, and even more when several faces appeared in his vision, including the one of their coach. How do you feel? Does something hurt? He shook his head lightly, even that little movement costing him almost all of his remaining energy. He took a few deep breaths, slowly regaining feeling in his body, only to realize he was lying on the floor of their gymnasium with something wet and cold covering his arms and neck. I fell? You could say that. Konoha chuckled, though it sounded strangled even to Akashi's slowed-down mind. Don't scare us like this, okay? 1 second you are normal, and the next we are saving you from hitting your head. Not very nice of you, my dear Kohai. I'm sorry. It's fine. The important thing is you are okay. I'm more worried about... Akashi! Akashi flinched when the voice pierced his ears, and in the next second the source of it appeared in the cleared-out space above him, looking rather frantic. How do you feel? Did you hit something? Hurt? Please don't die, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to overwork you, I swear. The ambulance is on the way. Bokuto, chill, please. Our ears. Bokuto quickly clapped his mouth shut, and Takashi could swear he was 2 seconds from crying, with his lips pressed into a tight line and widened eyes. Even his hair as if slumped, completely different from the usual careful styling he was used to. I'm sorry. Moving without thinking about it, Akashi reached for Bokuto's hand, giving it a light pat. It's alright, Bokuto-san. It's not your fault. It didn't help much judging by the soft whine Bokuto let out, but the squeeze he returned put Akashi at ease. Somewhat. You should still go to get checked at hospital. Right. We can't risk anything, especially when it's health related. You kids are too reckless sometimes. Can I go too? I promise I'll guard Akashi the whole time. That's not really... Please, 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 I'll take care of him, send you reports and everything. Bokuto, they won't let you ride in the ambulance just because you're his teammate. I'm his friend too. I can run there, I don't mind. Jeez, you still have energy to run? Alright, everyone lower your volume. I'll go with Akashi and contact his parents. The rest is up to him if he even wants you there. Akashi couldn't help the smile curling his lips as he followed the exchange, a completely different kind of warmth than before spreading through his chest. His team was truly a blessing. I don't mind others coming along. The coach sighed, but the way Bokuto's face brightened like 1,000 suns was worth the heart palpitations. I'll take good care of Akashi, I promise. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I know this part was a bit shorter, but yeah, I don't know how to work with Boku Aka, like, at all. My Boku Aka phase lasted for like 2 weeks, and that's it. It's like 4 years ago, and since then I haven't read anything with them. So I don't have the voices down, I don't have the characters down except for Konoha and Washio. Was it recognizable? I hope not that much, but hey, yeah, it's a bit shorter part this time. But I still hope you enjoyed it, because I still put effort into it, as usual. So I hope you will forgive me. I hope I will not have to write Bokuwaka anytime soon. If you have any requests or ideas, the request form is linked in the video description. See you next time.